All right, I will call to order the June 9th, 2023 hearing of the Public Improvement Commission. Todd, will you take attendance?
Or June 29th.
That's what I said.
Would the representative from the Boston Transportation Department please state his or her name for the record?
Amy Corder.
Property Management Department?
Joseph Callahan.
Water and Sewer Commission?
Denise Devlin.
Disabilities Commission?
Sarah Leon.
We have Public Works and ISD not available, but we do have a quorum.
All right, first agenda item, utility pole hearing continued on a petition by Eversource Energy for utility pole installation within Soldiers Field Place Public Way, Brighton, to install one new private utility pole to be located on its southerly side, generally across from address number 44 southeast of Soldiers Field Road. Utility pole hearing 6/15/2023.
Eversource, Susan, I think, is on. Susan, if you're speaking, you're muted.
Me now?
That's better.
Okay. So Susan actually representing Eversource. I'm filling in for Katie Flaherty. In regards to Soldiers Field Road, our engineer has been out of the office. Eversource respectfully requests to continue to next hearing date, and we will have the answers regarding pole location, sidewalk clearances, and tree canopy.
All right, I will entertain a motion to continue the utility pole hearing continued until, Todd, what's the next date?
July 13th.
Until July 13th.
I make the move to continue a petition by Eversource for utility pole installation at Soldiers Field Place until July 17th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. See you in July. I
didn't mean to overspeak. Is that the 13th or the 17th?
13th. July 13th.
1-3. Okay, thank you. I thought I heard someone say the 17th. No, thank you, Todd.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to go back and request that we approve the Public Improvement Commission minutes of June 15th, 2023.
I make a motion to approve to accept the minutes of the Public Improvement Commission hearing on June 15, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's accepted. Public hearing continued on a joint petition by Massachusetts Port Authority and the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for the widening, relocation, and extension of the existing right-of-way lines of New Cypher Street, Public Way, South Boston, located between E Street and the South Boston Hall Road, Richard Street. New business 5/25/23. Public hearing 6/15/23, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Widening Relocation Plan, New Cypher Street, Public Way, South Boston, 5 sheets dated May 19th, 2023.
Good morning, Madam Chair and other commissioners. My name is Steve Farr with Niche Engineering. I'm the project manager. I'm here on behalf of Massport. I'm joined with a bunch of folks from Massport, primarily Nui Wang, who may want to add a few opening remarks. Nui?
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, members of the Commission. Thank you so much for having us presenting this morning. If at your wish, we can revisit the presentations that we did at the last hearing. As you recall, we were there about 2 weeks ago, and our hope is to be back between last meeting and today. We've had several meetings with the community and the elected officials, and we do have Tommy Butler from our Government Community Affairs at the meeting today. We've had significant engagement with the community since then, and we believe that we are in a position to present today and hopefully get the approval from the commission, at the hearing this morning.
Todd, I'd like to share my screen if that's okay, I guess. Go through the presentation briefly.
Please do. You should be able to.
Yep. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
All set. Yep.
Okay. So I'll briefly go through a quick presentation here with some graphics, and then I will go right to the widening and relocation plans and the specific repair plans. Let me do the slideshow here from the beginning. So we've been here a couple of weeks. New business was on May 25th. The first hearing was on June 15th, and now it's the 29th. This project has been in the works for several years now and has many stakeholders, including all the folks you see here. Most importantly, it will benefit the South Boston and Seaport residents and businesses along the corridor that I'll show you in a minute. This is our design team led by Massport. Formerly MassDOT was lead, but now Massport has taken over and will be responsible for the construction. We've had several public meetings, again, dating way back to 2018. A little hiatus there after 2019, but once Massport took over, we've had several public meetings since then. This is the locus plan of the limits of the project, starting from Richards and A Street over here on the left side of the screen, continuing across the South Boston Bypass over the Hall Road, continuing on Cypher Street to D Street. Then there's a new section of road proposed, which I will show you in a minute, between D and E Street. And then it goes north on E Street, which is primarily just a mill and overlay up to Fargo Street. And then Fargo Street is a total reconstruction up to Summer Street. And that is the limits of the project. As we know, these are pictures on New Cypher Street today, where there are no pedestrian bicycle facilities at all. It's basically just primarily a truck route right now. It will continue to be a truck route, but we are going to add complete streets items with sidewalks, bike paths, and so forth to make this safe and passable for all modes of transportation. This is a graphic of what the street will look like in the future. This is looking east on New Cypher Street. In the foreground here, you can see the tracks, which we will replace, and we will replace the existing signal system with a new signal system, including a bike signal to allow the crossing of the bicyclists, which are shown on the right side or the south side of New Cypher Street. Again, new sidewalks, new lighting, new pavement surface, new pavement markings. Will be a total transformation of Cypher Street. This next graphic is Richard Street. We're looking from A Street towards the South Boston Bypass Road. You can see in the before picture at the bottom left here that it's a 3-lane roadway, 1 lane going eastbound and 2 lanes coming westbound. We are going to take one of those lanes out and insert a bicycle lane to provide connectivity from the bike lane and bike path on A Street all the way through New Cypher Street and over to D Street to provide that connectivity. And I will transition to the widening and relocation. As you know, we have several petitions that involve this project. A widening and relocation of A Street here. This is the Richards A Street intersection.
Just New Cypher for now.
Just New Cypher, okay. Just taking a moment here to load up. Apologize for the delay. Let me go to the Let me go to the specific repair plans. Specific repair plans, again, starting at A and Richard Street, we are going to modify the traffic signal system at this location to include a bike signal, redo the pedestrian ramps, and bump the curb into the street, reducing a travel lane and adding that bike lane that we just saw in the graphic. We cross Medallion Ave with new pedestrian ramps and a new sidewalk on both sides.
So we're just doing the widening and relocation of New Cipher, and then we'll do widening of Bay, and then we'll hit the specific repairs.
Okay. Apologize for the delay. I'm not sure why it's not coming up on my screen. Why it's taking so long. It's the preview sheets here. I know they're very small. Cypher Street. Okay, so I guess bear with me here on this one. So this is Cypher Street. This is the South Boston Bypass Road here on the left. There are minor widenings on the south of the street to accommodate the widening, and on the north into the Convention Center Authority property. As we continue to the second sheet in this set, the roadway starts to dip down towards D Street, and there is a more significant widening as you head towards D Street, which is this sheet on the left. This area sort of bounded in red is that widening and relocation area. The blue is obviously the existing edge of roadway. Once you get to D Street here, which is where my cursor is now, we cross over to D Street, and this is the new section, I'll call it the extension of New Cipher Street between D and E Street on the right side of the sheet. This is an entirely new layout. There is no roadway there today, and this will accomplish and facilitate that roadway, this widening and relocation section. That's it for the widening relocation, Amy, of Cypher Street. I'm going to pause now.
Yep, that's great. Are there any comments or questions from commission members? PIC staff.
Steve or Nui, can you just speak to the state taking that happened for all this land and speak to the record owner of these widening areas currently?
This is the widening and the parcel acquisition has already been accomplished by MassDOT. The plans were prepared by Niche and MassDOT and filed by MassDOT at the registry. Those plans have been submitted, I believe, to PIC. So the parcels have been acquired from various property owners, including the Convention Center, Massport, Channel Center, and a small parcel from US Beacons. Does that answer the question, Todd?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
All right, I will entertain a motion on public hearing continued, item number 1.
I make a motion to approve.
Hang on 1 second, sorry. Tom?
Yeah, I wasn't sure, commissioners and Amy, how public comments were going to be read in.
Yep, nope, sorry, it's the raise hand feature, just like you found. We should have mentioned that for everyone, and yeah, fire away.
Okay, and this particular vote that's being considered is for the extension of New Cipher? That
Yes,
particular
just-
roadway, just that piece?
Just the widening and relocation, so where its right-of-way line is getting bigger and the portion where it is extending from D to E.
Thanks. So we submitted comments back on June 13th, and I'm pretty sure Todd distributed them. Does this cover the section of Cipher as it crosses the Hall Road, this particular vote?
I think that the one you want is the specific repairs.
Gotcha. So for the extension and the land taking in the new Cipher Street, I guess our comments, just to reiterate what was submitted in writing, Massport and Oxford Property have filed a letter of intent with the BPDA to develop 6 acres east of Cipher Street with a mixed-use community of about 1.7 million acres, 1.7 million square feet of development, right? We are assuming some of that will be residential. We're assuming, therefore, that those people are going to be using East Street, New Cipher Street, the extended New Cipher Street, and all of the roads that are part of this proposal. We would ask that the PIC consider and ask the question why the complete street design, full complete street design isn't being used for these roads. east of D Street for that particular reason, right? I recognize that there's a desire to try to separate cyclists, pedestrians, and trucks because of the safety concern. That's not going to be feasible given the development that's going to be undertaken there. So the streets need to be properly engineered to safely support that mix. So that's my comments for this piece. Thank you.
Steve Riggs?
I think Tom took my thunder away. I agree with everything he said. I also wanted to say that the characterization by Massport that the South Boston residents are enthusiastic about this project is wrong. Those are my comments.
Thanks. Massport, did you want to?
Yes, please, Madam Chair, and member of the commissions. With regard to the comments regarding the future development and complete street construction between D and E, today there are, if you can go to it, thank you very much. So D Street has always been envisioned as the connections from the community to the waterfront, and today there are bike lanes along D Street. So the design of Cypress Street with the bike lane along Cypress Street will start at Richard Street along Cypress Street, and our design for the bike lane will connect to the existing bike lanes in D Street. With regard to E Street, there are no bike accommodations along E Street at this point. So from a design point of view, which we have coordinated with the city, with state agencies, we are not proposing to have the bike lane along Cypress Street between D and E, because again, that will connect to, there's no other bicycle connections at E Street to connect to.
Tom?
Thanks, and thanks for that, Nui. I just asked that the PIC and Massport consider what's taking place today in Flynn Park. So the introduction of mixed-use development, besides just interest in trucking, have caused the city to invest on Northern Ave with the installation of bike lanes, to the city to invest in Dry Dock Ave with the installation of improvements for pedestrians and cyclists. As the property along E Street is developed with mixed use, and there is a letter of intent, as I said, for 1.7 million square feet of mixed use to go in there. The same thing is going to be needed on E Street and the extended new Cypher Street. All this does is kick the can down and require an investment in 2 or 3 or 4 years time. So we just like to see that particular, like that to be considered, right? The future plans considered that are currently on file. Thank you.
Thanks. Nui, you're done?
Yes, so with regard to future development, today we don't know what the proposal would be for all of these future development projects. With our development project, they would have to go through the city, Article 80. So, our anticipation or expectation is that as part of the Article 80, the development project will have to be evaluated, pedestrian, bicycle, vehicular traffic, all that will be part of the Article 80 process when that happens in the future. But at this point, these projects need to be, the Cypher and E and the project in front of you, we believe that need to be done, construction needs to start because there is a need from a safety point of view, out there to make sure that vehicular traffic, bike accommodations are addressed as soon as possible.
Thanks. I'll also add that I'm pretty sure that, we are spatially constrained in there, and to add that level of accommodation on this extension of Cypher Street, I believe requires more land from the one or other of the abutting property owners to fit the additional bike or pedestrian infrastructure.
That's correct, thank you.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve public hearing item number 1.
I make a motion to approve a joint petition by the Massport Authority and Mass Department of Transportation for the widening, relocation, and extension of New Cypress Street as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Public hearing continued, item number 2, on a joint petition by the Massachusetts Port Authority and Massachusetts Department of Transportation for widening and relocation of the existing right-of-way lines of A Street, Public Way, South Boston, located on its northeasterly side, generally across from Richard Street. It's new business 525-23, public hearing 515-23, is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Widening and Relocation Plan, A Street, Public Way, South Boston, one sheet dated May 19th, 2023.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, my name is Steve Farr with Niche Engineering. I'm here on behalf of Massport to present the project, joined with members of Massport who have spoke previously. The screen that you see right now is the widening and relocation for that portion of A Street at the intersection of Richard Street, very small area here on the west side of A Street, bounded in this red rectangle for the purposes of new traffic signal equipment and pedestrian lanes.
Questions or comments from commission members? PIC staff or public?
I'm all set. I'll just take this opportunity to remind anybody wishing to add testimony, please use the raise hand function, bottom of your screen.
All right, I will entertain a motion on public hearing, continued item number 2.
I make a motion to approve a joint petition by the Massport Authority and Massachusetts Department of Transportation for the widening and relocation of the existing right-of-way lines of A Street as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Public hearing continued, item number 3, on a joint petition by the Massachusetts Port Authority and the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for the widening and relocation of the existing right-of-way lines of Richard Street, Public Way, South Boston, located on southwesterly side between Medallion Ave and South Best and Hall Road, New Cypress Street. New business 525-23, public hearing 615-23, is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Widening and Relocation Plan, Richard Street, Public Way, South Boston, one sheet dated May 19th, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Steve Farr, Project Manager at Niche Engineering here on behalf of Massport, joined with other folks from Massport as well, to explain this project. And I apologize for the lag in the internet service here. The screen that you see on the left is not showing up on my full screen. So this is a portion of Richard Street. The southerly side of Richard Street is being widened in relocation by an area shown in red here that's very difficult to see, I'm sure, for the purposes of sidewalk and bicycle path widening in this area.
Questions or comments from commission members? PIC staff or public?
All set.
Okay, I will entertain a motion on public hearing continued item number 3.
I make a motion to approve a joint petition by Massport and the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for the widening and relocation of Richard Street as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Public hearing continued item number 4 on a petition by the Massachusetts Port Authority for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, traffic signal infrastructure, street lighting infrastructure, landscaping, green stormwater infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, bollards, driveway curb cuts, protected bike facilities, and a raised crosswalk. New Cypress Street between E Street and South Boston, Hall Road, Richard Street, A Street generally at Richard Street between A Street and the South Boston Hall Road, New Cypress Street, Medallion Ave generally at Richard Street, C Street southwest of Cypress Street, D Street generally at New Cypress Street, East Street generally between New Striper Street and Fargo Street, Fargo Street between East Street and Summer Street generally at Fargo Street. New business 52523, public hearing 61523 is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plan, New Cypress Street, Reconstruction, Boston, 25 sheets, dated April 27, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Good morning. My name is Steve Farr from Niche Engineering. I'm here on behalf of Massport with the other folks from Massport to explain and present the project. What you see on the screen before you is the specific repair plans for this project, which starts from A Street and the intersection of Richard Street, going all the way across the South Boston Bypass Road to D Street or E Street, Fargo. So starting in this corner at A Street here, we have improvements to the curb lines for pedestrian ramps and minor signal improvements. Richard Street includes moving the curb line out into the street and reducing the travel lanes to 2, 1 in each direction for the purpose of making a bike path, a multi-directional bike path on the south side of Richard Street. As we cross Medallion Ave, we're redoing the ramps on all 4 corners of that intersection. The bike path continues along the south side of Richard Street here as it approaches the South Boston Bypass Road, which is the next sheet. And so just continue with, this is the South Boston Bypass Road here. And as we cross this road here, there's going to be a bike signal for pedestrians and bicyclists. This is the tracks that cross New Cypher Street in a north-south direction. Those will be replaced with special accommodations for pedestrians and bicyclists. I know that was one of the concerns that we had last time, was the gap between the rail and the rubber mat at crossings. That will be infilled with either asphalt or a rubber steel insert, as these tracks are not yet operational. So in the meantime, that seal will prevent that gap from being a hazard to people in wheelchairs or strollers or cyclists or anybody else. The bike path continues along the south side of New Cypress Street. Again, it's a bi-directional bike path along the south side only. There's a sidewalk along the north side. New street lighting, new curbing, fencing, we have shown in the graphic previously. This continues past C Street, and just continue. There's C Street right there, and then starts to deviate from the existing road line, bending to the south towards D Street. And when we get to the D Street intersection, we are again bending south. The existing curb lines are shown in blue, so you can see how it deviates to the south to line up with the new extension of Cypher Street. This is D Street, and E Street is off the sheet. We'll see that next. This is going to be a fully signalized intersection today. There's just a flashing warning beacon there with new pedestrian ramps. Again, new crossing lights for both pedestrians and bicyclists. This is the existing bike path is on both sides of D Street, running north and south. That will connect into that. When you get to the extension here, there will be a sidewalk and street lighting, but there are both formal bicycle accommodations. There is a shoulder for bicyclists to use, and bicyclists are permitted to use this road. And say again, this is all a formal truck route. However, it is going to accommodate pedestrians and bicyclists. As the extension nears E Street, again, new sidewalks and crosswalks and pedestrian ramps to cross E Street. E Street will be resurfaced with just a mill and overlay, and the rest of these sheets, as I continue up E Street, are just showing a mill and overlay. There are existing sidewalks on E Street, and those will be retained. no improvements to the sidewalks. And then when we get to Fargo Street, at the intersection of East Street, Fargo Street will be reconstructed entirely. There are no pedestrian sidewalks currently on Fargo Street. That will change. We are going to install new sidewalks and new street lights. Fargo Street all the way to Summer Street. Again, with new pedestrian ramps, pavement markings and drainage modifications, make that a complete street as well. And that's the end of the project. There are no, again, signal modifications. This is currently a stop control intersection, which it is today, and that will be retained that way in the future. Those are the limits of the improvements. Take any questions?
Thanks. Questions or comments from commission members? PIC staff or public?
I will mention that the Hall Road improvements are shown on here for reference, but the Hall Road is under MassDOT's jurisdiction, just for clarity's sake. I see Tom would like to speak again. Again, if anybody else wants to speak, please use the raised hand function at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Todd. Generally speaking, this particular environment in the neighborhood is not welcoming to pedestrians and cyclists currently. So my comments are focused on the fact that we are now going to invite pedestrians and cyclists into this part of the neighborhood, full well recognizing that today trucks run fairly extensively through this network and fairly frequently. So the creation of this mix of pedestrian, cyclists, and large vehicles is frankly creating a safety hazard. We're all aware of that, and we all want to make sure that this is done, engineered appropriately to provide, if you would, that safe mix. So my comments kind of go west to east. I'll start with the Hall Road intersection, and I recognize this is under MassDOT's jurisdiction, and it's their engineering standards that apply. But frankly, the Hall Road is more than 45 feet in length. Cars and trucks traverse that at high speeds. Today, there aren't any, very limited cycling and pedestrian crossings at that intersection, and we're now inviting people to cross the Hall Road. And it frankly creates a death zone if it's not done appropriately. So what we've asked for is pedestrian islands to be installed on the Hall Road itself. We've asked for that crossing section to be narrowed as much as possible. We've asked for the right the right lights to be installed there, lighting in terms of so it's appropriately lit at night. And we've asked for the crossings to be engineered so it provides enough time for people to traverse. So it's we've met with the Massport team and the engineers on it. They've rejected it or acknowledged that some of that may be in place, but the neighborhood, frankly, is just deathly afraid that we've created this area for people to be killed. So as I kind of continue west to east, we come to the intersection of D and New Cypher. The same applies along that stretch. New Cypher today doesn't accommodate cyclists and pedestrians because it traverses hazardous waste zone, and that's all being remediated hopefully effectively and safely in the neighborhood, but we're inviting people there, and so we've increased pedestrian and cycling crossing at that intersection. That needs to be appropriately narrowed to safely accommodate that mix of uses as well. And then finally, when we get up at the intersection of Fargo Street and Summer Street, clearly that intersection is excessive in terms of width. We firmly believe that when you go north on Fargo Street, that traffic should not be allowed to turn left on Summer or westbound on Summer. It just creates an unsafe situation for not just vehicles, but also for pedestrians and cyclists traversing on Summer Street. And conversely, when traffic is going westbound on Summer Street, they should be prohibited from turning left or south on Fargo Street. So that should be a right turn only intersection and not configured as a T intersection to safely support that mix. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Steve?
Thank you. I'm glad we ended up with this slide. I wish that Massport or BTD or MassDOT can explain this intersection to me, because the project, the Cypress Street Extension project, has been presented as a way to relieve trucks in the neighborhood. And it just appears to me that this is, if you indeed can't make a left turn going west on Summer Street onto New Fargo Street, and what is this, what are trucks doing at this point? Because they're not coming out onto Summer Street and then making immediate left onto Dry Dock Ave. There's just not enough space there for that. So I've always been curious about the goal of the project was to relieve trucks, but it seems to me this relieves trucks going northbound towards Conway, but it's not particularly useful going into the industrial park.
Thanks. Massport, do you have a better understanding of the truck, where these trucks are going in the truck movements that we're supporting here?
Yeah, so if I can start, and Steve, I know you're gonna make some comments regarding the design in terms of lighting and signalization, but let me start. Specific to this intersection, well, first of all, this project is not to bring trucks to the neighborhood. This project is we see this as a safety project. It is a truck route. Cypher is a truck route today. East Street is a truck route today. So we're not changing that. What we're doing is that we're making sure that we make the improvement so that it's safe for all mode of transportation. We're not seeing this project as bringing truck to the neighborhood. We're not seeing this project as attracting trucks so that they would use this, these route. If truck coming from Summer Street, naturally turning to Pump House Road and access the bypass road, is the natural movement. We also understand that there are separate initiatives by the city and the MBTA in terms of improvement on Summer Street with regard to truck and bus lane, the bus and truck lane. That is separate from this project. So as you can see here, we are, like I said, making improvement to the existing street there, adding sidewalk. We see here, repaving East Street. So that's the intent. Steve, if I can just ask you to maybe go back to the bypass road or the Hall Road, as Tom mentioned, and let's talk a little bit about the design there from a traffic signal point of view, from a lighting point of view.
I'm not sure why this specific slide is not loading. I can bring up the PDF here if we want to talk about that. I think if I can just chime in here, I guess, to Tom's contention about the design.
Steve, if you can go up to maybe slide number 5. Yeah, that would be easier to talk to. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll just zoom in a little bit here, I guess. So again, Tom's contention that the design is lacking in some manner and does not provide for safe accommodations of pedestrians and bicycles. I would disagree with that in that, we have worked diligently with all of the stakeholders that I showed in that one of those first slides, both MassDOT, the City of Boston, the Convention Center, using the latest federal and state guidelines and standards for safe accommodation of bicycles and pedestrians. It's a balancing act, as with any project, especially one of this complexity, to make sure that accommodations for trucks and pedestrians and vehicles of all types and bicycles are met. again, trying to accommodate all those users. I think we've done the best we can. We have met all the guidelines and criteria that are needed. So I am fully confident this will be as safe an intersection as possible, and that there will be, this is not unusual, and there is nothing different about any of these intersections or designs that is not being, incorporated around the city today. So I think the design process has vetted all of those issues, and we have addressed them over the several years we've been working on this project with all the stakeholders that I mentioned.
Thank you, Steve. If I may, just to add a little bit, Tom, thank you so much for, the comments, and, we share your concern that the design needs to be safe design to accommodate all the, pedestrian and bike. With regard to the intersection at the bypass road or the Hall Road and Cypress Street, from a lighting point of view, there are street lighting that meet all the regulatory requirements. We believe that, the design at that intersections will provide, lighting much improved to what you have there today. From a traffic signal point of view, and the questions about timing for pedestrian crossings and whether or not there's a need for a refuge island in the middle of the bypass road. We've coordinated the design with the city, with ETD, the signal timing, no turn on red signals. There are more than adequate timing for pedestrians to cross the street. Again, the signal timing is being fully designed, fully coordinated with ETD and, the design team, Massport, MassDOT, and I don't know if there's anyone on ETD, but we felt very confident the design will support a safe pedestrian and bike crossing, across the intersection.
Yeah, no, I hear from BTD and to say, right, like you guys we've been at this for a while now, and so yeah, I concur that we have been working together on this one. Are there any other comments or questions? All right, I will entertain a motion on public hearing continued item number 4.
I make the motion to approve a petition by Massport for specific repairs on the following streets and ways in South Boston: New Cypress Street, A Street, Richard Street, Medallion Ave, C, D, E streets, Fargo Street, and Summer Street, as more particularly read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Right? Motion passes. On to public hearing. Public hearing item number 1 on a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions, Inc. for the rental of city shadow to install new telecommunication fiber and existing conduit within Beacon Street Public Way, Boston proper, located generally between Berkeley Street and Brimmer Street. New business 61523 is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant Location Plan Proposed Conduit Lease Plan, Beacon Street, Back Bay, 1 sheet dated June 27, 2023.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is Herb Bertoni from Cambridge Network Solutions. Let me make sure I get the right plan up here. Okay, I am proposing to lease city shadow conduit for new telecommunication fiber. Approximately 1,080 feet from the existing TCS manhole, labeled TCS manhole number 78 on Beacon Street, to TCS manhole, labeled TCS manhole on Beacon Street at Brimmer Street. So that would be from on Beacon Street right at Berkeley, all the way down to Brimmer Street, Beacon, into a new CNS manhole here, and be leasing this from TCS, AT&T.
Great. Questions or comments from commission members? PIC staff or public?
All set?
I will entertain a motion on public hearing item number 1.
Make a motion to approve a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions for the rental of city shadow for telecommunications fiber on Beacon Street, as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Public hearing item number 2, on a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions, Inc. for the Reynolds City Shadow to install new telecommunication fiber and existing conduit within the following public ways in Roxbury: Huntington Ave, generally between Evan Way and UCM Road; Louis Prang Street, generally between Huntington Ave and Public Alley number 1001. New business 61523, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Proposed Conduit Lease Plan, Huntington Ave at Louis Prang Street, Longwood, 1 sheet dated June 26, 2023.
Again, Herb Bertoni from Cambridge Network Solutions. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I am proposing to lease in 2 parts, City Shadow conduit for new telecommunications fiber, the 2 parts being 980 feet from the existing Verizon Business Manhole labeled Verizon Business Manhole 1 on Huntington Ave to Verizon Business Manhole BZB Manhole 15897 on Huntington Ave, which is this section right here along Huntington Ave in the Verizon Business System. That's the 980 feet. We'll be placing a new Cambridge Network Solutions handle here, tying into the system, running down the street, and that'll be tying into a new Cambridge Network Solution handle at this location. And the second part of that would be the 700 feet from the existing cable TV manhole labeled Cable TV Manhole A on Louis Prang Street to Cable TV Manhole labeled Cable TV Manhole D on Huntington Ave. So that would be this section up here. This is the Cable TV Comcast. So we'll be tying back into the system here, running back down Huntington, up Louis Prang, and over to a private manhole in the grass area. And that is it.
Questions or comments by commission members? PIC staff or public?
Set.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on public hearing item number 2.
I make a motion to approve a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions, the rental of City Shadow for telecommunication fiber in the area of Huntington Ave and Louis Prang Street, as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. Public hearing item number 3, on a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions, Inc. for the rental of City Shadow to install new telecommunication fiber and existing conduit within E Street Public Way, South Boston, located generally southwest of Fargo Street. New business 61523, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Proposed Conduit Lease Plan, E Street at Fargo Street, 1 sheet dated June 27, 2023.
Again, good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Herb Bertoni from CNS. I am proposing to lease City Shadow conduit 134 feet for new telecommunications fiber from pole 5 on E Street, Boston, to proposed Cambridge Network Solutions handle at the intersection of E Street and Fargo Street. So we're going to run down this pole here, facing City Shadow, and we will be placing a new CNS handle here and tying all of the City Shadow conduit into and out of this handle.
Questions or comments by commission members? PIC staff or public?
All set.
I'll entertain a motion on public hearing item number 3.
I make a motion to approve a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions for the rental of City Shadow for telecommunications fiber in the area of E Street, as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. Thanks, Herb. You'll have a good rental.
Thanks, Amy.
All right, on to new business. New business item number 1, 249 Harrison Ave, 900 Washington Street, Pine Street, Boston proper, specific repairs on a joint petition by the City of Boston Public Facilities Department and Boston Public Schools.
Hello and good morning. My name is Nicholas Botts. I'm with Niche Engineering, presenting the project for new business. Can I share my screen for a presentation?
Yep, please do. You should be able to. Got it.
Okay. This project is a Josiah Quincy Upper School project. It was previously approved by PIC in September of 2021. We are coming back to PIC because we ran into an issue, which I will get into later on in the slides. Just a quick reintroduction of the project team. This project is on behalf of the Boston Public Facilities Department. Niche Engineering is the civil and traffic engineering for the project. HMFH is the principal design and architect of the project. IBI, who I believe might also be on the call, is the landscape architect for the project. And Susan Gleason, who is also on the call with Stanska, is the senior project manager. The project is currently under construction in Chinatown in Boston. This is just showing the current swing space and footprint of the current construction project. As you can see, it's on Harrison, surrounded by Harrison Avenue, Washington Street, Marginal Road, and Pine Street to the north. This is the previously approved BIC site layout that was approved in 2001. But the area we're talking about and focusing on today is here, which is at the intersection of Harrison Avenue and Pine Street. Here's a blow-up of the original design, which featured a raised crosswalk to accommodate accessibility across the site and onto the northern abutters. During construction, an unforeseen underground conflict was discovered during the excavation of that area. Due to that conflict, we were not able to install the new drainage structures in the proposed design location, and which also led to us not being able to implement and install the raised crosswalk. Here's that previous design here. And here is our new redesign, which has just recently, when we worked with Disabilities Department with Sarah Leong and the MAAB, we received their approval in February of this year for this redesign, which does have a variance in it, but we did as best we can to accommodate the existing design and re-implement it to further enhance the accessibility of the site to and from the site the best that we can with the circumstances given. Sorry, went back. And here is the other part of the PIC submittal, which just shows the more details along the outline of that. And some of this does show some of the comments that we have received, including from Boston Street Lighting, revising the design location of their street lighting at this intersection. And are there any questions or anything we can answer?
I know that you are working, right, with William on,
Correct. William Moose, yes. We received comments from them regarding the location of the signage here on the corner, and to ensure that the accessibility of the roadway for the vehicles is not minimalized from its prior accessibility of service. So we want to make sure that the same vehicles which could make this right-hand turn onto Harrison is still capable of making that turn in the proposed condition.
and you have?
We will provide that at new business. We're currently working on that vehicle tracking study, but we will prepare
Perfect.
to
Yep.
present that.
Perfect. Questions or comments by commission members? PIC staff, public?
I will just mention that there are a couple comments from the Public Works Street Lighting Division that the project team is still working through as well. But those comments, as well as BTD's comments, should be addressed before the public hearing.
Mm-hmm. I would like to add that the other comments from Boston Street Lighting regarding the composite lids for the handhold boxes, We will or look to implement that onto the revised construction documents, but the area in which they called focus to those details were outside of the jurisdiction of this PIC resubmittal. So the locations that they showed were along Harrison Avenue and Marginal Road, and we look to accommodate that on the revised construction documents.
Any other questions or comments? All right, you'll be ready on July 13th?
Will do.
All right, see you then.
Thank you.
New business, item number 2, Walter Street and Center Street, West Roxbury, specific repairs on a petition by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation.
Good morning and thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is Bob Stathopoulos from Howard Stein Hudson. I am the project manager for the DCR on this project, Center Street and Walter Street intersection improvements. Today with me I have Val Soroka and Jeff Parenti from the DCR and Madison Blanchard from Howard Stein Hudson. If I can share my screen, I will go over a quick overview of the entire project. I won't spend too much time as we want to focus on Walter Street, but I wanted to give you a quick overview. First off, where the project is located, this square over here denotes the intersection of Center Street and Walter Street.
We are not seeing something if you are presenting something.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Okay, works now? Okay, good.
Yep.
Thank you for that. So yes, this is the intersection of Center Street and Walter Street, and as it is abutted by Sophia Snow Place, the Little Blessings Daycare and Preschool within the Trinity Lutheran Church here, the Hebrew Rehabilitation Center, and the Arboretum with the Faulkner Hospital and a few other properties denoted on this image right here. I will jump into some plans to show the pavement markings on the signs, but more to kind of denote the limits of the work as it stands right now, or as it stands from the start of the project. On the south side of the intersection on Center Street, we are going up until here, which is at 1225 Center Street. On the north side, we're going up until the Trinity Lutheran Church, and about this line right here, on the northern end of that property. And on Walter Street, we are stopping right at the stop line at the Bus Street intersection and not including that intersection. When we're thinking about what the project does, what improvements it's proposing, you can see we are bumping out both of these corners of the intersection on Walter Street to shrink the size of this intersection. As you may have been able to see from this little image here, these legs of Walter Street and the intersection just make this a huge sea of pavement. So we were trying to shrink up the intersection as much as possible, provide pedestrian and bicycle crossings throughout the intersection, which doesn't have any today. There is a bicycle lane on both sides of Center Street, but that doesn't provide crossings today. But with this improvements over here, we're proposing all these crossings and a separated bike lane on all legs of the intersection. As you see up here, it is on the sidewalk level, and the sidewalk continuing on the other side or the back of the bike lane on all the legs of the intersection. And it will be signalized on this plan. Those signals are grayed out because it's the pavement marking plan, but you can see the signals right here, and this next sheet would show it better. We are proposing also a bike signal just for this single bicycle crossing across Walter Street right here. And the corners of the intersection that we're bumping in towards the intersection are going to provide beyond the space for the pedestrians and the bikes, a lot of green space back over here, adjacent to the Arboretum and adjacent to the Hebrew Center. All this will become green space and landscape. To focus on Walter Street specifically, you can see, as I mentioned before, the separated bike lane, the sidewalk on both sides of Walter Street. We are keeping the lane use that's currently provided on this side of Walter Street going towards But the Barca Street intersection, that exclusive left turn lane and through the general use lane. But going towards Center Street, going from that single lane, opening up to 3 lanes to allow for dual right turns and the through left, which is the access to the Sophia Snow, just to continue down Center Street and towards VFW in that direction. What this plan doesn't show is some street lights that we added on this side of Walter Street. This side has them already today, and we're just moving them to accommodate this work. And that we are also, the parking that's provided here today is being removed in order to be able to put in the bike lanes on either side of Walter Street. This parking that's technically within, except maybe these 2 spots, within the Arboretum right-of-way there, the access that they have onto Walter Street is being retained. All those parking spots are being retained. To show a little bit the specific repair plans that we had sent over, you can see there the brand new bike lanes on both sides. That little hatching denotes just the buffers that we have from the traffic and on this side from the sidewalk. Because all the work proposed by DCR is staying within the right-of-way of the city on Walter Street here, this didn't allow enough room to provide another buffer on this side of Walter Street between the bikes and the pets. But we thought it's worth providing the buffer from traffic at the very least, so that's why we only have this buffer against the traffic. But we are reconstructing the existing sidewalk here, providing new sidewalk that's not there today on the top side or the Hebrew Center side. I mentioned the street lighting, and we do have some catch basins and a drop-in inlet for some drainage on Walter Street. That is all that I have, and I can open it up to questions at this time.
Questions or comments by commission members?
I don't know if I missed it. Will you be adding traffic signals to this intersection at Center and Walter, or no
Yes.
traffic signals?
Yeah, these plans don't show them both, but if you can see this mast arm and these arrows, they're a little bit darker. That's the traffic signal they're proposing to add. This is the other mast arm here, so it's 1, 2, 3 mast arms along with a lot of post-mounted PET signals and push buttons for all the crossings throughout the intersection.
Thank you.
Any other commission member comments? Michelle?
Hi, thank you for hearing this, Madam Commissioner and the Commission. My name is Michelle McDougall, and I'm actually representing the consortium of community services that's located at the Trinity Church at 1195 Center Street. I know this project was being planned and being drawn years ago, but these drawings are actually incorrect. Little Blessings Daycare and Preschool no longer exists as it is. It is now Little Amigos Early Learning Center. And we've kind of changed we've changed our model a little bit and actually have been accepted as a Boston Public Schools Universal Pre-K program starting in September 2024. As these drawings are written, there is no access for emergency vehicles to our property that has capacity for 43 children from the ages of 3 months to 5 years. The firehouse that's assigned to us, I believe, is the firehouse on Center Street in West Roxbury. And so they come down, and then they can no longer make the left into our property. So on top of making sure that, you know, we have the crosswalks, which we are super grateful for, and our children are going to love it, we can't overlook the fact that we will be having Boston Public School students in our building and not having them have quick and easy access to emergency vehicles in case there was any type of emergency on the property. So on top of it being us, Little Amigos Early Learning Center, it is the Trinity Lutheran Church, the Charles River Church, and on Sundays, the Rosendale Food Collective, which gives out hundreds of pounds of food to people in the community that are accessing the property from all different directions. And so by not being able to make the left into our property, it really makes it so that we either A, have to go and make the U-turn at Allendale, which is super, super tight to do, and especially with people that are making rights on red, you know, that right turn there too, we can't make that left there. The fire truck, my SUV can barely make that turn, let alone a fire truck. let alone any other type of truck for deliveries. So that then would put us going down the VFW, going into that rotary, going into Brookline, going back down and around, and adding to the carbon footprint that the city of Boston is putting into the world. So, with that, we have capacity for 43 children daily, Monday through Friday. So, we expect to be hitting capacity early on in the fall. So when these drawings were originally done, Little Blessings had a little bit of a smaller enrollment and a little bit smaller of a projection. So if a traffic study was done with the cars that are going in and out of our lot, I suggest that it be done again. However, not in July because families are on vacation in July. And so thinking about how we can capture that, because there's 40, let's just say there's 40 children being dropped off, that's drop off, out, pick up, out, on top of our staff. So we could see for us alone, up to, I would say, 80 cars going in and out at various times during that day, usually during rush hour traffic. And then on top of that, the parking spaces from the Trinity Lutheran Church are also leased out to the medical professionals at Faulkner Hospital. So the Faulkner Hospital has, I don't know those numbers off the top of my head, I wish I would have counted them when I was there yesterday, but I think it's at least 50 cars on top of a shuttle bus that they actually send down to pick up their staff to come and do that. And so that shuttle bus, I don't know exactly the path for that. But even as this is currently drawn, if you look, you can see that the crosswalk is there on the right side of the intersection. Our driveway is right where those arrows are. So when there's a red light, it's not even possible for us to make a right. Now we can't make a left, can't make a right, we can't get in, we can't get out. And more importantly, if an emergency were to happen to any of our children, nobody can get to them. And that, as my children attend the center, on top of me on the board of directors there, and that's kind of terrifying to me that could be a case. So I want to know how that's been addressed. I want to know why, I understand construction and that 10 feet is not just 10 feet. It's not just putting a couch in a different spot. Totally get that there's a lot that goes into it. But it really, it really takes away community access to community resources, like the Rosendale Food Collective, like our center that will house BPS students and houses, we also are part of the Massachusetts State Voucher Network. So we accept all students regardless of their socioeconomic status and what kind of programming they're working with. So those are my questions.
Thanks. Jeff, what you got?
We thought about the access issue, so we've been working with the church. Bob, can you show the eastern driveway? Zoom in a little bit there. That's the second access to the property there. We're going to break the median on Center Street, right where Bob's hand is, right there. It's not shown as part of these plans because I don't want to wait I don't want to wait for these plans to go through and go out to bid. So we'll be breaking the median there as part of a maintenance contract. And so that should be done midsummer, late summer. And so the property will have access to the property from inbound lane to Center Street there.
Can I say one thing about that? So what's not noted on this is the topology of the street. Where that driveway is right at the crest of a hill. So when you have the solar glare, depending upon the time of year or what that looks like, you're asking people to make a left over people who can't really see coming over. And as we know, and the reason why this intersection is existing in the first place, people just drive way too fast. We also don't, what he is going into there, yes, it's a driveway, but it's more of a footpath. That's how all of the Faulkner professionals access the Faulkner Hospital. That's what we use. That's what we use for our children to go on walks around the center. It's something that, while yes, it's a great afterthought, it was never a before thought. And I think taking a look at updating the plans from when they were previously done several years before, even before COVID, and how everything has changed since then, I think that's something that we would just like to see due diligence done on.
Jeff?
The original comment about the site distance, there is a crest of the hill there, that's true. We did measure site distance there. It's not as open as other parts of Center Street, but it is adequate according to AASHTO standards. So we're confident that it will be a safe access into the property there. And it is a vehicle curb cut and it is vehicle access to the property. I'm sure it's used for other things, but it is available, and we feel it is a adequate access to the property.
Great. Kathy? You're muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Kathy McCabe. I'm the president of the Longfellow Area Neighborhood Association that is on the east side of this intersection. This has been a long-time priority for our neighborhood to make this intersection safer and easier to navigate, both for cars, bikes, and pedestrians. We share some of the concerns that Michelle just raised in terms of emergency access. And as someone who lives on a hilly, off a hilly street and knows sightline problems like on Walter, I am sympathetic to what she's saying. There is poor sightlines on that driveway access because of the elevation changes. I want to thank Jeff for making some changes in the plans that we had raised from March as to bike lanes on Walter Street. But this needs fine tuning. We very much want to see this project advance, but DCR needs to be working with the neighborhood and abutters, and we need more attention, and it needs to be expedited. But these issues need to be resolved. We submitted written comments, and I'll let those comments stay.
Thank you. Jeff, is it possible for you to coordinate with the local firehouse to ensure that this is adequate to meet their public safety needs?
Absolutely. If you connect me, Amy, I'll talk with them as soon as I can.
And if there's outstanding comments from Kathy in that group, can she get a response on whatever might be lingering? I know we've been at this for a while, and I feel like right, like this is kind of come in fits and starts. So right, I think that we've answered a lot of questions, but I don't know how wide that's gotten. So yeah, if Kathy could get her questions answered, and we can get the public safety concerns addressed about the particularly the church site, I think that'd be helpful.
Certainly.
Are there other comments or questions? All right, will you be ready on July 13th to return?
We can return by then, as long as I guess we have this, we make sure the landmark comments have been resolved. Right, Jeff? We'll work together and make sure those are resolved.
We certainly will.
Fantastic. We will see you on July 13th.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
New business item number 3, 41 Berkeley Street, Tremont Street, Appleton Street, Boston Proper, specific repairs on a petition by Appleton Berkeley Properties, LLC.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lindsay Newton with Related Beal. We're the developer proponent of this project. I'm joined by a couple members of the project team, including John Schmidt from Niche Engineering, who's sharing the presentation now. John, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, please. Thank you. So this project is 41 Berkeley Street, located in the south end. It's a triangular block bounded by Tremont Street, Appleton Street, and East Berkeley Streets, and it is probably better known as the current campus of Franklin Cummings Tech. This project has received the following approvals. It got BPDA board approval in December of 2022, zoning commission approval for the planned development area in January of this year, and then South End Landmarks District Commission approval in March of this year. You can go to the next slide, please. So this project consists of 3 different components. It's anchored by an approximately 200,000 square foot senior care building consisting of memory care and assisted living units with some ground floor retail and then a below grade garage for about 60 cars. There's what we're calling the Appleton Building on the corner of Appleton and Tremont, which is about 20,000 square feet and 16 units of income and age-restricted affordable housing with a ground floor community center. And then the adaptive reuse of the Franklin Union Building, which is Franklin Cummings Tech current school building, which will be adapted into about a 55,000 square foot, 35-unit home ownership building with street-level retail. I will now pass it to John to go through the plans today.
Good morning, everyone. John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. So the public work improvements involve reconstructing the sidewalks and providing bike lanes on perimeter on all streets. Starting along Tremont Street, here we will be reconstructing the concrete sidewalk. It'll be 8-foot wide concrete sidewalk. Then we'll have a 4-foot wide pervious paver zone, and we are protecting and maintaining the existing 12 trees, which will be in raised planter beds with a rail system to protect them from dogs and things of that nature. There will also be new street lighting and things of that nature there too. And we've been working with the active transportation and with landmarks in order to, through this process, to ensure that everyone is in agreement with what we're proposing. As we move to Berkeley Street, we will have a 9-foot wide, and you can tell by the colors here, the white is the concrete sidewalk, the pink is a wire cut brick paver that was part of the approval process with landmarks. The orange is a pervious paver, and then the green are planting beds that are raised planting beds with rails, as mentioned. The brick sidewalk along Berkeley will be 9-foot wide brick sidewalk, 4-foot paver zone, brick paver zone with the trees. We are maintaining 5 trees within Berkeley. We're proposing 4 new trees, and we're also removing 3 trees. We've got Parks tree removal approval in May in order for this project to move forward. And then as we move to Appleton Street, we will have a 10-foot wide brick paver walkway, a 4-foot wide pervious paver zone, and then 5 new streetlights. And along this street, we're providing 7 new street trees and we're removing 3 existing street trees. Again, we have approval for that. And as you can see at the driveways, proposed driveways here, we have a cobblestone driveway entrance that we will be, as part of this project, as part of a landmarks requirement as well. These drawings provide the details of that. The intent is to provide accessible handicap crosswalks and receptacle ramps. So Sarah, before we come back to the public hearing, we're going to review and confirm that all of these ramps are compliant, or we will reconstruct them or call them out to be reconstructed as well. We also understand that the city is in the process of designing a bike lane along Tremont Street, so we've been coordinating with those drawings as well to ensure that both projects are coordinated. That's going there. I jumped ahead. Again, this is now on Berkeley Street. You can see the work. We have a cobblestone driveway here, and we have the bike lane that comes down through. And on Appleton, again, we have the bike lane that comes along here. We have bike racks at the corner of Appleton and Tremont. Does anyone have any questions? I'm happy to entertain them.
Questions or comments by commission members?
John, do you have a letter from the Landmarks Commission outlining their provisos for materials, specifically for the cobblestones and granite pavers?
I don't personally, but we will have that for you as soon as I can get it. I'm sure that it's in the project file somewhere.
Other comments or questions? PIC staff or public?
All set.
All right, you guys ready on July 13th?
We will be.
See you then.
Thank you. Have a nice holiday.
Thank you.
You too. The new business number 4, Summer Street, Boston Proper, City Shadow Rental, and a petition by Last Mile Solutions, LLC.
Access Engineering, representing Last Mile Solutions. Let me just put the point up. Oh, 1 minute. All right. We just respectfully petition to lease approximately 3,432 linear feet of city shadow conduit from CNS manhole at the intersection of Summer Street and Holly, passing through an additional CNS manhole at the intersection of Summer and Kingston, and then ending up at the level 3 manhole at the intersection of Summer Street and Devonshire. Have any questions?
Questions or comments by commission members? PIC staff or public?
We had provided Bill with a number of plan comments. Bill, in addition to that, I'm looking at your plans right now, and it looks like you have some dimension callouts that are inconsistent on here. So look, just the blue ones look like they might be too short. If you can just double check those and get those updated as well when you resubmit plans, that'd be great.
Yes, no problem.
All right, will you be ready on July 13th?
Yes, we will be ready.
All right, see you then. That concludes new business. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone.